How's it going, Reef Keepers? Hope that you guys have had a good couple of weeks. I have been away for the last couple of weeks because basically my town got completely iced in. And I live in a small rural city, rather, not town, but small city in the deep south. And there is no snow removal, ice removal resources to speak of. A lot of the cities and towns south of a certain point in the United States don't think that it's something that they should be prepared for some reason. I certainly sent a couple emails to my city government, upset that they don't at least have salt that they can put down on the roads, but they have nothing, like literally not even salt, basic rock salt on hand to throw on the roads. So when this, horrible storm moved in, and I was driving home from campus, I'm a teacher and I was preparing for the semester, and I started to see people sliding around on the road, and I realized, oh, this storm that was going to be a snowstorm has turned into an ice storm. And I originate from Michigan, Kalamazoo Reefer, right? I knew what was going on, and I was like, all right, this happens once every 2, 3, 4 years down here, but this is going to be bad. So I booked it home as fast as I could. I pulled out every jug that I own. There's 2 more in addition to these 4. And I spent the next 4 hours filling jugs with as much water as possible, because I remembered when the terrible ice and snowstorms, blizzard hit Texas, and their grid was knocked out. And there's all kinds of political and corporate reasons, or big corporation behavior type, short-term thinking reasons why the Texas disaster occurred, right? My town, or my small city, is part of the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, and so I'm not as worried. I mean, there's some oversight, and my actual power company, they actually do have really good equipment, and they have shown themselves to be very capable of repairing things. But it's still, if my power had gone out, with the amount of ice that ended up falling, I mean, the local school kids were out of school for 7 school days. I mean, it was serious. Basically, we had to just sit and wait and eat our pantries dry and wait for the snow and ice to melt. So it got me thinking, and I'd already been thinking about this, but I've been paying closer attention to a few different YouTube influencers, a few different Instagram personalities. One of which is Telegram, which is like telephone, and gram, like a graham cracker, like with an H in the middle. And he's a guru and an advocate for e-power backup plans, right? If everything fails, what are you gonna do? Kind of plans, right? Fish are getting fed, by the way. Neptune auto feeders, super loud. I apologize. Anyway, here's this horrible storm, and every day and all night, like I even slept down here one night when it first started, I'm stressed. I'm like, if this power goes out, even though I have a good power company, there's no telling if they can get through to the problem, if they have equipment to dig through the ice, if there's an issue underground, who knows, if pipes burst and affect electrical somehow, if a tree, bursts under the ice and falls on a telephone line. There's so many things going through my head, and I'm just like, please, please, please don't fail. Please don't fail. Because here's my power plan, or what it has been to this point, and I'm a little embarrassed of this. I know some judgment will be passed, but there's plan 1, a really cost-effective, nice way of saying cheap, like UPS battery backup, right? That's going to give me like 4 or 5 hours of water flow to this top pump right here that's pushing water at the surface and keeping things moving and oxygenated, right? I've tested it. It lasted, over 4 hours, like 4.5 hours. That is intended to give me enough time to react. So my reaction from there would be, okay, I know where I can get a generator on fairly short notice. and get it dragged over here and, set up. Here's the thing, right? I know, so I live in the deep south, and I'm thinking, well, it barely ever snows here. Well, why would I need, I'm always going to have access to this generator. Why would I need anything else? Yeah, until it snows here, until that snowstorm turns into an ice storm, the likes of which hasn't been seen here in 3 or 4 decades. Now, all of a sudden, it's like if the power goes out, even 4-wheel drive, massive pickup trucks were sliding all over the roads. I have a 4-wheel drive SUV. I went out and just to look around my neighborhood and was sliding all over the place. That's how icy this was. The world was a sheet of ice. There would have been no possible way that I could have gotten to that generator, got it over here, set it up. Something would have gone wrong in the process. Tank would have been hours without power. Things would have been dying. It would have been a mess. So my thinking evolved. My thinking, which was already trending in this direction, just from kind of listening to stories of, tragedies like this occurring and kind of following Telegram a little bit closer and learning a little bit more about this stuff so that I don't feel as intimidated by the notion of it. My thinking quickly evolved from this point of considering this to, okay, this is basically priority number 1 for me in 2024. So as you guys know, again, being a teacher, I do Reef on a budget, right? I put basically all the money that would go to me to be going out to the bars and hanging out with friends and doing fun stuff that normal people do outside in the outside world. I don't spend any money on any of that. I only spend money on this. So my budget for my income on this is pretty high, but it's still I need to save to get these e-power things in place. So my plan is this. I found it, and again, sorry, I'm not an electrical guy. I'm not at all. It is intimidating to me, less so lately, but I need to get an inverter, and Telegram had posted one months ago to his Instagram, and I screenshotted that. It's Potek. It's on Amazon, Potek. I think it's a 2,000 watt inverter, pure sine wave. I'm gonna get that, and then I'm also gonna get, I can't remember, I think it's a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate, I want to say. I'm trying to get these things right. Lithium iron phosphate battery. And what I would like to do is, and I'm probably going to have to tap Telegram to give me some help when the time comes. It's going to be months that I'm saving for these things and accumulating the various parts of it, but I want to have some kind of solar panel that can either trickle charge or a slightly more robustly charge up that battery and keep it charged up in the event that, I do live in the South. Tornadoes do happen. Once every 2-3 years, a bad snowstorm or ice storm happens. I don't want to worry, basically. I felt pretty confident in what I had before until the world was a sheet of ice in the deep South. And then I was like, okay, anything could happen at any time. And that could have been the biggest regret of my life and put me out of this hobby. And I'm not going to risk that again. So basically that's, goal number 1 for 2024 is getting a real e-power plan online. That's going to give me some real distance on, keeping my water moving, keeping the tank oxygenated, right? I got to get this stuff in place. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. And, I'm sure others, other southern reefers went through the snowstorm, ice storm, horrible temperatures that came through recently. And again, hopefully what happened in Texas years back doesn't ever happen again. But if you are reef keeping south of I don't know, some invisible line in Tennessee, it's important for everybody everywhere to have an e-power plan, but I think you're lulled into a false sense of complacency in the deep South because oftentimes power outages and serious issues like that are associated with cold, snowy, icy weather, weather that slows down human response to get things fixed and weather that increases the risk of these things happening. but like that stuff does on occasion happen down here. And like you are SOL if you are not prepared for it. So I tail between my legs. I should have been more ready than I was and saved myself a bunch of sleep during this, you know, this horrible storm, this cold snap that we had. Because it was like forefront of my mind for days and days while we were holed up in this house. I'm just staring at this beautiful reef tank, all these beautiful fish that I'm attached to, all these coral frags that are just starting to come into their own. And I'm like, I would be at fault for losing all of this. I am not being the kind of reef keeper I want to be in terms of feeling like I am protecting these creatures that I have, you know, taken responsibility for. And it's not responsible to not do that. So, yeah. Anyhow, I'll stop rambling at you. Just wanted to talk about, you know, e-power, my plans on it, my thoughts on it. It is your responsibility. It is my responsibility. It's the responsibility of this hobby. I know it's expensive. It's cost prohibitive in some ways for some people, but there's always something you can do. And this was the something for me until I realized it wasn't enough. And as soon as I realized it wasn't enough, all my plans for adding livestock, coral, whatever, new fancy gadgets that I may not need to the tank, all that just got pushed back. Priority one is getting this e-power plan in place this year. So, all right, guys. Hope you are, like I said at the beginning, hope you're having an excellent week and you made it through the storm well. And we'll talk soon. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks.